Hey there, this is Bruce McGill, a.k.a. Jack Dalton from MacGyver.
Thank you for being a friend.
Jack Dalton, sole proprietor, fly-by-night air freight at your service.
Road and back again.
Well, come on, Mac. We can take my plane, be there in no time. Think about it. Adventure, danger, it'll be fun.
Jack!
And I love listening to Making Fun of MacGyver.
I'm not ashamed to say.
Tonight, it's the thrilling conclusion to Lost Love Part 1, as Jack Dalton looks to help MacGyver steal back the Jade Dragon in order to free his former lover being held hostage. Hey, quick question, are Sam and Jeff holding you hostage? If not, why the hell are you about to listen to Making Fun of MacGyver? It's Making Fun of MacGyver, a rib-tickling takedown of our favorite 80s adventure show, Empty Nest. Now, it's MacGyver. Starring Sam Jordan as the skeptic and Jeffrey Hess as the scientist.
Name's MacGyver.
Welcome, everybody, to Making Fun of MacGyver, the show where we recap, review, and lovingly ridicule every episode of the original series MacGyver. I'm Sam Jordan, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by my fellow MacGyverite, the international man of dysentery, Jeffrey Hess.
Ooh, you don't want that. That's a waterborne disease, and you can poop yourself to death. That is how the original Buddha died.
Buddha died that way? The original
Yes.
Buddha? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like not the knockoff Buddha that we see in the Chinese restaurant?
Not the Buddhas, but capital B, the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. He was one of his followers, cooked a meal for him, and he got food poisoning and pooped himself to death in his 80s.
Now, was he on the Oregon Trail?
He was not on the Oregon Trail, but I'm pretty sure if he tried to ford a river, he would probably die.
Okay. My robust retro TV lover, I mustache you. That one's in there for Jack Dalton,
Yeah.
little Jack Dalton reference. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to see more two-eyed dragon shots than a guy-on-guy adult film?
That's a lot.
Yeah, good. Is that a yes?
Yes, definitely. And I
Yes,
watch a lot
okay.
of films.
Yeah. Good, because we're moments away from Making Fun of MacGyver. It is our 64th episode, and it's Season 3, Episode 2, the big two-part conclusion. It's Lost Love Part 2. I'm very excited to see how this wraps up. But first, it's our opening gambit. So, Jeff, how you feeling? Season 3 underway. We had the big two-parter. Were you just like on pins and needles like before you watched that second episode or what?
The cliffhanger was almost too much for me to bear. I can't believe I had to wait a week to watch it. Were you on pins and needles waiting a whole other week for the next episode to air?
Well, you gave it a 6. Part 1, I gave it a 5, and I was like, oh boy, I hope. But I'm just a little sneak preview. I liked Part 2 better. So, what?
Ooh.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. But hang on. So, all right. Anyway, you're doing fine. You're doing good. Now, if I were to say to you, Jeff, do you remember? What would you reply with?
The 21st day of September.
Yeah,
We were chasing the clouds away.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Well, anyway, we are recording this on September 21st, 2022, and I am just jubilant because we've got this lovely MacGyver synergy going on where we posted our first episode of Season 3 today on 9/21/22, and it was 35 years ago to the day that Lost Love episode Part 1 aired on ABC. So I don't think we've ever done that where we've been posting our review of an episode on the same day that we're always months behind. And I just enjoyed that. And now we're recording the second part also on 9/21/22, and that is a famous Earth, Wind, and Fire song that you know despite your age. Good job out of you.
Yeah, it's almost impossible not to know that song.
Right. September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to, how well we're going to be able to stick to Mac's original airing schedule, right? Because the episodes are going to come fast and furious. We record roughly every 2 weeks, and the episodes back then were airing every week, but they would take the occasional week off. But point is, we're starting with that synergy, and we're going to try and stay close, as much as we can. So I'm excited about that. Excited by just season 3 in general. Still feeling good.
So we're going to teach the 80s TV crew a thing or two about cranking out episodes. These people think they know. What are they? What? It's like hundreds of people work for them. There's 2 of us. Obviously harder.
Yeah. Another little tweak we made for season 3. Slightly enhanced the show logo. There's now a solid gold rope chain on MacGyver in the Making Fun of MacGyver podcast logo. And this was big in the mid-'80s. Trust me, I lived there, and I think I had a knockoff gold rope chain wanting to be a rapper or breakdancer. So we put a little one on Mac just because that's the way we're going to make fun of him. Slightly subtly, but with a big, fat gold rope chain.
You rock the fake chain?
I had nothing that big and giant, but I had some identity experimentation things going on in the 80s.
So we're talking about two-eyed snakes and identity issues today.
Yeah, well, we had the fake out new viewer mail theme last time, but now here it is. It's going to sound familiar, but it's short, and we promise this is the new viewer mail theme. We got one brief correspondence to get to, and let's open up some viewer mail. What do you think?
Too long.
9 seconds. All right. So our friends over at Vintage Video have come to our aid on Twitter regarding Lost Love Episode 1. Vintage Video, by the way, a fine movie podcast that focuses on movies from the 80s, run from our friend Patrick over there. So these guys are our MacGyver podcast predecessors, and they know the show a little bit better than us, despite them not having worked in MacGyver for several years. So now, remember the beef I had last episode with Fiona Jackson, the casting manager, that we had Anthony DeLongis in there, and then we had James Hong as Chew, but these guys were in previous episodes. So here's what Vintage Video told us today on Twitter. They say the Nikolai character from this episode, who was played by Anthony DeLongis, was the antagonist of Thief of Budapest back in season 1. Episode 4, I believe, or 3. Obviously played by a different character in that episode. So they are referencing an actual previous adventure we've seen. Remember, we gave them guff last time for the writers for once again inventing, so we thought, MacGyver lore about past characters and other adventures. Vintage Video telling us no, they are making a legit reference to Thief of Budapest. So I went and I checked that out. And sure enough, you look at the characters there, and there's Russian agent Nikolai Kosov, played by Bruce Abbott. And that is the guy at the end of that episode, I think you'll remember. He's on the other side of the border. MacGyver saves the day, but he can't cross the border. He's like, MacGyver! 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 He screams at MacGyver. So he's mad, that guy, and that was the baddie, Nikolai Kosov. So
when General Rakubian in the first part of this episode says you almost killed him before, he's being serious.
They're actually referencing season 1 MacGyver, and we were wrong. We were totally wrong on that.
Well, this is going to really confuse the hell out of me going forward because they make these references to previous encounters, and I'm always like, did that really happen? And now I'm really going to be wondering if that really happened.
All right, so sometimes it did happen. I told Vintage Video, said you need a scorecard, IMDb membership, and a set of DVDs to keep track of all this. Thanks for the clarification. Now, we actually have kind of all those things. We still didn't keep track of it. He also added, I'm thinking a mocktail should inherently be improvised from whatever cocktail fixins you can find in the kitchen, no specific ingredients. Remember last episode we talked about we want to come up with the ultimate MacGyver cocktail. We're going to call that a mocktail, and it probably won't have any alcohol. But we thought that it should have ginger ale because he's ordered it a couple times. Pete loves it, and it should have shaved cubes to be precise, because Pete really enjoys getting his cubes shaved. So what do you think about Vintage Video's idea of the rest of the ingredients being improvised from whatever you find in the kitchen?
Well, but if we did that, I would just go get water from the sink.
Yeah, but you'd make it a good drink, right? If you found whatever was
just
in
make
there.
it better. A little bit of grenadine, I think, would probably be in there.
For blood?
Yeah.
Grenadine and ginger ale is sounding like it's getting close to like a Shirley Temple or something like that.
Yeah, Shirley Temple is grenadine and like a spritzer water, right?
Okay, I'm not sure. But this is weird. This is going to happen. The MacTail is going to happen this season. We're going to figure out what would make the great MacGyver drink. It's going to be dry. It's going to be, non-alcoholic because that's the way Mac would want it and that's the way Jeff would want it. And but I told him one thing. It's definitely paperclip is your stirrer. Paperclip is going to stir the drink, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Let me take you back now to Monday, September 28th, 1987. The number one movie in the country for the second straight week is Fatal Attraction. We covered it in detail last week. We'll be talking about it again. No need to cover it now. The number one song in the U.S., Didn't We Almost Have It All by Whitney Houston. It was from her second studio album, Whitney, written by Michael Masser and Will Jennings, produced by Masser. Received positive reviews from the music critics. And it was Whitney Houston's fifth consecutive chart topper on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100, staying there for 2 weeks, and it also reached the top 10 in various countries. So it stayed there for 2 weeks, and one of those weeks will be next time. You'll get to sing it. But now this is my time. But, I've only done this a couple of times. Any tips you can give me about singing, especially from a big balladeer like Whitney Houston? What should I do?
First of all, don't go to her octave. Bring it down at least one octave into your vocal range. Don't attempt to replicate the big voice because you're just not gonna. Whitney's got a one-of-a-kind, overwhelming power voice. And lastly, eyebrows up, breath from the diaphragm. So when you punch your notes, you want to squeeze your belly, breathe from the diaphragm, eyebrows up, and good luck.
Up. Eyebrows
yeah,
up. Okay.
It raises the soft palate in the back of your throat. It'll keep you from going flat.
I'd like to dedicate this song to a special man. His name is Mike Garland. Remember when we held on in the rain, the nights we almost lost it. Once again, we can take the night into tomorrow, living on feelings. Touching you, I feel it all again. Didn't we almost have it all? When love was all we had worth giving, the ride with you was worth the fall, my friend. Loving you makes life worth living. Here we go, getting higher. Yeah. Didn't we almost have it all? The nights we held on till the morning. Mike, you know you'll never love this way again. Didn't we almost have it all?
All right. What an excellent debut performance.
Oh my gosh.
How do you feel?
So it is a hard thing to do because I went and put on other headphones so I could hear Whitney singing. But then if you hear too much of Whitney, you can't hear what you're doing.
Yeah, you think you're on key and then you hear it back and it's like, oh no,
right.
Wrong key.
So this is going to be a work in progress for me, but me and you are going to compete all season long. But how did it sound on your end?
Sounds good. It's a little difficult because I can't hear the music in real time. So
right.
I'm getting just like an a cappella version, but you're in the ballpark of the tune.
Yeah.
So, and you're not like, pitch is not wobbly. You are very clear on the notes. So those are good starter points. And where are you on Whitney?
Incredibly talented. I mean, one of the greatest voices of all time. Some songs are catchy and fun. You can't beat like, How Will I Know? And I Want to Dance with Somebody. But I never bought one of her records. And I would never seek it out, but there are many that can come on and I will enjoy, right? And of course, tragic life and kind of just, burnt out too. And it's tragic that she died, but yeah.
Greatest voice?
I don't know about the greatest voice, but if anyone said top 5, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So there you go. You'll sing it next time, but sorry guys for making you hear that. It's Monday. 9/28/87. And on 8 o'clock that night on ABC, it's MacGyver Season 3, Episode 2, the dramatic and long-awaited conclusion to Lost Love Part 2. It's our first ever two-parter for MacGyver. I don't know why they would do this to me. You know, I'm like dying over here, jonesing. And now I hand over the reins of the show to the gnarliest of MacGyver narrators, the gentleman, Jeffrey Hess.
Well, last week for part 1, we had almost an opening gambit before the credit sequence. This time we have something similar, but in this case, it's an episode recap of episode 1 for the viewers who had to wait a week, and they get their memory refreshed with this nice recap of the first part of Lost Love.
The Ming Dragon. China is very proud of it. As a work of art and part of our history.
Jack Dalton.
We have to cut way back on that smoke.
What happened?
They sent me to the Gulag, to a prison camp. There was only one reason I survived. Nikolai.
Nikolai Kosov? Ex-KGB?
She wants to defect. She wants to bring her husband. I want to help.
Get in the way!
Come on, let's go.
No!
Come on! Jewelry?
It's not jewelry.
Any unauthorized attempt to open the necklace, once it's shot, will cause it to trigger. You're a hostage. So is Nikolai. The Ming Dragon. Deliver it to me.
You want me to steal it?
Yes. Bring her. Golf match, MacGyver.
So, watching that, I'm reminded of how much can transpire in a 45-minute episode of MacGyver, because that's a lot of stuff that went down.
Mm-hmm.
But it then goes to credits, and we resume with Axminster 1, where Mac is returning to his hotel room, and he surprises Jack Dalton, who's, of course, taking a shower in his hotel room. He grabs Jack by the neck, it throws him against the wall, and says, "I'm surprised to see you." And Jack's like, "Where have you been?" And Mac tells him exactly what happened when he took off with Lisa.
What are you doing here?
Playing deputy. Pete was at the Federal Building waiting for you and your fun couple while the egg on his face congealed. MacGyver, what happened?
Oh, Rakubian's people nailed Kossoff here, caught up with Lisa and me across the bay. They still got Lisa.
How'd you get away?
Rakubian let me go. He wants me to do him a favor in exchange for Lisa.
I'm afraid to ask. What kind of favor?
Steal the Ming Dragon.
So unlike the first episode, which was a lot of setup and a whole lot of other plots, that's basically everything that transpires in this episode is them stealing the Ming Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
And Jack's down for it. Jack's like, hell yeah, let's steal this priceless piece of antiquity. And Mac is also down for it, but he says, we got to leave Pete out of this. Pete is too kind-hearted. If we ask him to help, he's going to help. It'll ruin his career. So, Jack, it's got to be you and me.
You borrow the dragon, use it as bait to get Lisa and Kossoff out, up, and away.
How?
You'll come up with something. That's what you're good at.
Maybe. But we can't involve Pete. Any mistake in his career would be shot. We can't ask him because he'd do it. So, we have to steal the dragon.
What you mean we, Kimosabe?
It's gonna take two, Jack. I need help.
Finally, MacGyver is the one roping Jack into shenanigans.
Yep, little role reversal, but
Yep.
Jack owes him.
Yeah, you think so? Big time.
Yeah. I also love how when everyone's like, how are you going to do it? Mac's like, I don't know. And they're like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You'll figure it out. You're good at that kind of thing. So back at the museum, Pete and Chu, played by Hollywood legend James Hong, have just finished updating the security system on the Ming Dragon. But James, he's still nervous about it. We got a dead guard. We've got missing MacGyver and all this other kind of stuff. And he's telling Pete, I'm afraid who's going to steal the dragon. And Pete goes, the dragon's safe. Who could break into it now? Sam, you got any ideas who could break into it?
One man, and he's got a mullet.
So a truck does pull up in the very next scene, and Mac and Jack roll out from underneath it in classic 80s fashion, where everyone was able to easily ride in a truck undercarriage. They approach a grate that's got a spring-loaded alarm on it, and that leads us to our very first MacGyverism.
Does it MacGyver?
So they approach the grate, and of course Mac somehow instantly knows that it's got an alarm on it, and they undo the screws on it, and Mac notices there's like a pressure plate behind it that is going to set off an alarm inside the building to let someone know if you were slipping in through the air vents. This kind of thing is called a contact sensor plunger. Now, these are actually still really common today. They only cost a few bucks. They typically are on doors and windows. I found one from the company Honeywell, which on its website describes it as, when the actuator is depressed, the 955 PST plunger switch is normally closed and the system is happy. If the security system is armed and the door or window is open, the actuator pops out and the contact loop opens, which causes the alarm, meaning that the circuit breaks and that the electrical circuit stopping is what sets the alarm off. So what Mac does is he holds that little piece of metal down with the pocket knife, pulls it aside. Jack reaches very sexily into MacGyver's back pocket and also very sexily pulls out the duct tape that he keeps in his pocket. And then they tape the alarm shut. And very easily they have defeated this pressure alarm. This does MacGyver.
Oh, nice. And is this the first ever use of Swiss Army knife in conjunction with duct tape?
If we could get a paperclip sighting, we would have the trifecta.
Exactly.
Also, these are pretty common still, but they're more called contact alarms. You've probably seen them on doors and windows where they have a little magnet. Same principle. The magnet breaks the circuit. It trips something called a reed switch, and then that's what sets off the alarm. So the museum is likely to be hardwired because they would have priceless items inside of it, and it makes sense that this would be like that. But these are really common alarm systems, and Mac would have been aware of and known something about this and had a knowledge of how to defeat it.
Okay. Do me a favor. Can you just tell me the model number of that device again? What's it called?
It's a 599 PST plunger switch.
The 599
I'm
PST?
sorry. My dyslexia got me. 955 PST plunger switch.
The 955 PST plunger switch?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I hate to divert the show down this road because I had a 960 PST plunger switch that was used for something entirely different.
Okay.
And I don't want to get too far into it, but my actuator popped out. Saw a doctor. We're working through it, but yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't talking about the same device. But okay, so that's the 955.
It lasted longer than 4 hours?
Still going, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you need Mac to depress it with some duct tape and a knife.
Okay. I should have used duct tape. Duh.
Duh.
Yeah, let me use duct tape.
Obviously.
Hang on, I'm going to go get some duct tape. You just keep on with the recap.
Sure. So they crawl into the pipes, and they're going up to above where the Ming dragon is going to be. And Mac is telling Jack, hey, Jack, you remember that time you were crawling through a Mayan pyramid and you were covered in snakes and spiders and all this other kind of stuff? And Jack says, did I tell you that? And Mac says, yeah, of course you did. And Jack admits it was a lie. I love this moment because Jack lies about literally everything.
Right.
And so, of course, he would have lied about crawling through a Mayan pyramid.
Right. But now, me and you are probably watching this being like, holy crap, now is this episode I saw or not? It's like, you got Jack lying, you got the writers lying, you got our memories. Like, I don't know what's what in this MacGyver world.
What they might do is they might put that in an episode in the future. Like they seeded that and that's like, hey, that's a good idea. Like a Mayan pyramid episode would be a good MacGyver episode.
Yeah. I got to say, as they're going through the air vents, which is, conveniently sized for two grown men to just be hanging out, and they were nicely lit. You could see everything that was happening in these air vents. Classic video game thing, right? How many air vents have we climbed through in video games to get that to drop on the bear, get that guy? Yeah. But I started to get a good feeling. I started to enjoy this episode more than I even did the first one. Because these two have prolonged dialogue back and forth. It's kind of fun. This next part does take a while, but something started to click for me here where you get good quality Mac and Jack time and then put them in an air vent, apparently an air duct, and I really respond.
And the episode has a lot of forward momentum and focus that was lacking from the first one.
Yep.
Because now it's just a heist.
Yep.
So they're climbing through the air vents and they clip themselves to rappel off of some piping. And this is our second MacGyverism of the episode. But they clip themselves to some piping, lower themselves, and a winch. Which
winch.
is it? A winch.
WINCH. I remember we had to school you on that one.
So they lower themselves and a winch down to the display case. And the first...
Wait a second. Are you telling me that would really work?
does it MacGyver.
So that was my very first thought. I'm thinking the same thing you are. Like, how strong are these pipes? You got to be kidding, right? I mean, Mac weighs what, 160? Jack's probably pushing 180, 190, something like that. He's a little round little guy.
Yeah.
And so I went and looked it up, and I found a company called Maker Pipe, which did a YouTube video testing the strength of 3/4-inch metal conduit, exactly like the kind that you see in the show. And what they discovered is that a 5-foot span of unsupported metal, so just like it's there, just up there in the ceiling, could support about 180 to 210 pounds. So well within the range where Mac could descend from it, and Jack, I'll give him the credit that he could probably descend from it as well. The next thing I was wondering about is the plate glass, because they use suction cups to lift the glass with the winch. How much this glass is really, really heavy? How much does it weigh? Well, I found out on Grainger.com. I found the suction cups that you can use to raise pieces of glass, and they have a limit of 125 pounds. And so because the glass is slipping, it probably weighs a little bit more than that 125, but way less than the 210. This does MacGyver.
Okay, so just to confirm, you went to a site called Maker Pipe.
Yes.
And you were also looking up suction cups.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of a little leading into where we're going, because Mac and Jack lower themselves. They rappel down from the roof all the way down, but now they're outside of the case. And the case is locked with a combination lock that Pete set himself. Sam, how are they going to figure this out? Who would know what this combination is?
Yeah, pretty bold for MacGyver to think he could, got 3 minutes left before the guard comes back. Pretty bold for MacGyver to think he can just start punching in random codes to get it. But he does, and the first code he pops in, we don't know what the significance is of those numbers, and nor does Jack. And Jack's like, what are you doing? And then Mac's like, I thought Pete might go with his birthday or something like that. I went back. I wanted to know Pete's birthday on the show. Pete's birthday, and we're going to mark this down on the calendar and throw a big party, I'm sure. December 18th, 1933 is when they've got Pete being born on the show. So that makes him 53 in this episode.
And he's already got...
Do you think he looks 53?
No, he looks older than that. And he's
older than 53?
Yeah, I think so. And he's already got a degenerative bone condition that causes his ankles to snap.
So Dana Elcar wanted to look up the actual actor, see when his birthday is. So when do you think his... they've got the character Pete, born in 33. What do you think Elcar's year of birth is?
So this was filmed in I'm going to go with 1938.
1927.
I went the wrong way. I said he looked older than that, and I went the wrong direction.
Yeah. You went the wrong
yeah. So then he would have been 60.
59?
This is filmed in
almost 60.
Yeah.
He's a couple of weeks away from 60, Dana Elcar is in this episode.
Yeah, he looks more 60 than 50.
Yeah. And unfortunately... Spoiler alert, he's going to have some eye problems in later seasons. So when you talk about his health and his, it like hits home a little bit because he doesn't have the easiest route to old age, unfortunately. But
yeah, bummer.
Let's live it up now.
So the combination turns out to be Arnold Palmer's birthday, who I'm told is not just a drink inventor, but also a golfer.
Yeah.
A legendary golfer, perhaps the greatest golfer ever, not named Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods.
And the number is like, what was the number?
It's September 10th, 1929. And thank you for asking me that, because I have some of your sports heroes' birthdays, Sam.
Oh.
Do you know what Darryl Strawberry's birthday is?
I don't. I know Dwight Gooden, but I don't know Darryl Strawberry.
Ooh, do you? He's on my list. Tell me, what's Dwight Gooden's birthday?
Dwight Gooden is November 16th. I'd have to think about the year.
Oh, you got the month and the day right. That's the hard part.
The year? Let's see. He was 19 in 84, so maybe 65?
Oh, so close.
66?
1964.
64.
Dwight Gooden, born November 16th, 1964. And you blow up my whole premise because I didn't think anyone would know any sports heroes' birthdays. Now, Jack prays to the gods to find out what this code is, and he prays to Magic Johnson, Joe Montana, and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Did you enjoy this as a sports fan yourself, hearing like
Wonderful.
The cream of the crop sports 87.
These
right?
are still legendary heroes of maledom today.
Yeah.
So Magic's birthday is August 14th, 1959. Joe Montana's July 11th, 1956. And Arnold pulling up the rear at July 30th, 1947. Did you
Arnold
realize
Palmer?
he's 75?
Oh, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Right.
Did you know Arnold Schwarzenegger is 75 years old?
You thought younger?
Oh my God, way younger. He doesn't look 75.
Yeah, no, I know, but yeah, he's been around a long time.
Yeah. Legendary. Anyway, they do manage to lift the glass up, and Mac slips underneath. They hold the pressure plate down. They defeat all of the sensors. Everything is defeated. Mac slips inside of the case, and at that moment, the suction cups start to slip, and the glass starts to slide, and Mac is trapped inside the case.
He's slipping! It's locked! I know, only 2 minutes left. MacGyver, I don't know the combination. I can't open it. I don't know Arnold Palmer's birthday.
And believe it or not, that is the end of Axminster 1.
Oh, that's the Axminster 1?
That is Axminster 1.
Well, I gotta say, I was enjoying it. In fact, the back and forth, I don't know if it's coming up here when they're trying to guess the combination or before that. The back and forth between Pete and Mac might have been my high point, funniest 30 seconds yet of the series, in my opinion. I don't know. Yeah, I just really enjoyed it.
So we begin Axminster 2, and Mac is stuck inside the glass. And now there's all kinds of alarm systems and stuff. And Jack, being a total idiot, does not know Arnold Palmer's birthday.
Would you say MacGyver was trapped inside of a glass case of emotions, or?
Not emotional glass case. I think that is like visible. The emotional prison that he's in. And I can assume this by his long track record of broken relationships.
Oof, and we got a big one coming up.
Yeah, huge. Do you think he's in a glass case of emotions? Or is that just me?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I do. I think he's both in a literal and figurative glass case.
I'm in a glass case of emotion!
I mean, a mullet can only get you so far, but he's in a pickle, he's in a jam, he's in a quagmire, he's got a conundrum on his hands.
And Jack is an idiot and has forgotten what the numbers are. And honestly, I don't remember either at this point. They're in my notes and I don't remember. So they need to hurry up. And Jack and Mac cannot communicate through the glass. So Mac fogs up the glass and writes a number on it to tell Jack what to do.
Yeah. That does not count as a MacGyverism, right?
It does. It does not. I'm assuming everybody understands. But what is nice is Mac is smart enough to write the number backwards.
Yes, backwards for Jack to read forwards. And Jack's still struggling, though. Jack really acting dumb here. Like he can't figure this out.
Total idiot. And this segment here is one of, I think, the weaker parts of the episode. They're really stretching the whole heist part of it. So they do manage to get Mac out, and now they're really against the wall because they have the Jade Dragon, they have the Ming Dragon, but their plan is totally effed, and Mac is like, I know what we'll do. We'll set off the alarm. Jack's like, that'll tell everybody we're here, and Mac is like, that's exactly right. So they set off the alarm. All the guards come running. They snare trap one of the guards and use the diversion as a chance to escape, and they have fled the museum with the Ming Dragon in their possession. They flee in a vehicle that are, of course, pursued by the blonde Russian spy. She stops them in traffic outside of a Chinese festival and demands that they return the Ming Dragon, but Mac is having none of this, and he escapes into the crowd. He dips, dodges, dives, ducks, and rolls through the crowd, hiding temporarily under a dragon costume kind of thing, and he slips into a store where he hides, and he gets caught there, and he runs back out, and eventually he reconnects with Jack after losing track of the blonde spy, and is free now, but with or without the Ming Dragon, it's not clear.
Mm-hmm.
Back at the museum, Pete and Chu are trying to figure out how the Ming Dragon got stolen. Pete's very upset about this, and James Hong is absolutely crushing Pete right here, because James Hong has a secret up his sleeve. He installed his own secret camera, and wouldn't you know who is on that camera, Sam? MacGyver and Jack James
stealing the dragon.
James is furious.
I don't believe it. Why, Peter? Why? Chew, I don't have an answer.
Was the theft political? Was it an attempt to create hostility between our countries?
No.
Tell me the truth, Peter.
No. You know me better than that. And I'll tell you something else. MacGyver is not a thief either.
I'm not blaming you personally. But the cultural exchange is a testing of the waters. If the Ming Dragon is lost and our trust is broken, it could mean a break in our diplomatic ties, Peter.
Tense.
Yeah, I'm getting a little hot under the collar there. Yeah, I was nervous about the U.S. and China's diplomatic ties if this thing doesn't get found.
Yeah. Remember a time when people cared about that? So Pete appeals to Chew for more time, and Chew agrees for some reason, probably because he would get executed if he loses the Ming Dragon.
You know what I did enjoy though of the hidden camera focused on the statue display was the fact that it had multiple angles. And it seemed to be like really high quality camera.
Yeah,
with close-ups too.
Yep.
Like it was really like a Hollywood style hidden camera that they installed.
Really high tech. It had tracking technology in it. A lot of really great.
I think I even saw like a dissolve and like a screen wipe,
like a star wipe.
Yeah. There were credits too, like starring MacGyver and this other guy with a mustache, the Great Sheldrake. I think it said
produced by Chew.
Yeah.
So Mac calls General Rakubian and says, "I got your shit. We need to make the switch." And the general says, "You know what? I already killed Nikolai. Don't even worry about it. Lisa's the only one left, and we will make the switch at the place of Mac's choosing." Mac says, "Let's meet at this power plant." Who meets at power plants? MacGyver does. And at that time, the general takes the opportunity to ream out this blonde spy who freelanced. And the general's like, "Everything was going fine. What are you doing? Why are you being this rogue agent? You suck." And he's right about that. But he gives her one more chance. Says, "Go to the pickup and you can kill MacGyver. That's your reward for being a screw-up."
Well, Rakubian on the phone with Mac also says, "You know I wouldn't do this. I'm good for my word." And you do not see, what's her name? Let's get her name in there.
The blonde spy.
Blonde spy. But
Tanya.
Tanya?
Tanya.
Okay, you do not see her, anyone else in the room, but then you cut back and sure enough, yeah, he's lying to MacGyver. How dare you lie to MacGyver?
You know who knows? MacGyver probably knows.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point. True.
And that's the end of Axminster 2.
All right, 2 Axminsters down, maybe a couple more to go. It's a good time for a time capsule commercial break. Let's go back to 1987 and see what they were selling.
There comes a time when little wheels discover big wheels and fall for a car like Dodge Daytona. Because who else gives you features like front-wheel drive, a 770 protection plan, and the sheer thrill of high-performance driving, all at an extremely reasonable price. No one else but Dodge. That's who.
Hey, sis, go easy on the gas.
Dodge, setting new standards of performance.
Okay, so incredibly bold calling the Dodge Daytona a performance vehicle. That is like the very definition of a 1980s emissions strangled piece of garbage.
The Dodge Daytona.
Oh,
so in that
horrible.
commercial, you got what looks to be, how old do you think they want that girl to look? It's like a girl's first car. They're positioning it as like a 17, 18-year-old, 20-year-old young woman, and she's like all happy to be in this cool Dodge Daytona, and her mom's like catching her like, "Oh, you're pretend driving. Oh, well, guess what? It's yours now." But yeah, the Dodge Daytona, I remember the name a little bit, but I do not remember much about that vehicle.
Features like front wheel drive.
Oof.
Only the most common kind of car. But actually, I'm looking up some Dodge Daytona facts here. In 1987 model was pumping out 174 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque, which actually in 1987 is a lot. Like a lot. It really is a 1987 performance vehicle. This is
small little car.
Yeah, turbocharged intercooler with a 2.2 liter four-cylinder. That's not bad. For a car that small, it probably does have a little get up and go. Anyway, that's the Dodge Daytona. Are you prepared for a relatively short Axminster 3?
Yeah, I'm into it.
All right. So at the power plant, the blonde spy shows up to meet Mac, who has dangled the Ming Dragon precariously on a rope high overhead. He demands that Lisa be freed, threatening to drop the dragon the whole time. Lisa comes up, one of the sidekick spies, either Stubbins or Marlowe, not sure which.
There we go.
Tries to shoot Mac. Mac releases the Ming Dragon. The blonde spy Tanya catches it dramatically, but that is the opportunity that Mac and Lisa need to escape. And they do. They are able to escape. Jack is waiting for them outside, and they make a hasty retreat. But Lisa says Nikolai is still alive, and they must save him. And they go right back to the source of the problem itself, General Rakubian. But it's a trap.
Am I playing this? Okay. Am I playing that cut? No.
Is there a cut? No.
The real plan? Cut 5? No.
This is further along.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, and is this where Mac does the morality pull on Jack? He's like, come on, we got to save the guy's life, right? We got to go back.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's no way we can leave him alone there. But Lisa, being the turncoat Russian she is, walks Mac right into another trap. They're like sneaking
Mac's
up to
bleeding heart, getting him in trouble.
They're sneaking up to the building, and then next thing you know, General Rakubian just opens the door with a gun. Well, he doesn't have the gun. Nikolai has the gun, but Lisa set him up again for like the fourth time. How many times is Mac going to fall into this honeypot?
She's attractive, but not that attractive, Mac.
No, she's not. And that is the end of Axminster 3.
Oh, wow.
Very
Real
short.
quick.
Right.
But yeah, this is where finally, for me, things are getting suspenseful. I did not feel suspense previously in that helicopter chase in part 1. I thought it was padded and took too long. But now, the plot is turning. There's some twists and turns. I'm enjoying it. And finally, I feel like, okay, we got a good season opener here. And now I'm on board with a 2-parter.
Yes. And Axminster 4 begins with the tension all the way cranked to 11. Jack and Mac are kidnapped. They are held by the Russians in the very heart of the Russian base, which is just a house, but we'll call it a Russian base.
Yeah.
So Lisa wants one more minute with Mac, and she chases Nikolai off.
Please let me have one tender moment with MacGyver.
Yeah, the heart that she doesn't have because she's betrayed them like 7 times. And she tries to explain to Mac what the real story is. No, this time, Mac, I'm being honest with you.
And my death was faked, so that your people would believe the information I gave you. I had to authenticate it by dying.
And now you come back to life to con me into stealing the dragon. Pretty complicated.
The Ming dragon is a major treasure of the People's Republic of China. And the United States agent stole it.
But brave Soviet agents are going to recover it. And in a gesture of socialist solidarity, hand it back to Beijing, right?
Yes.
Gee, that's neat. General Rakubian moves up a couple of notches, maybe to Politburo, and little Lisa comes right along.
Dead to rights.
Mac, you finally figured things out. Way to go. Now that you're trapped and you're screwed, you finally figured out the plan.
Yeah. And I love how she's like, I've betrayed you like 6 times, but this time, this is the real one.
But I still find you the slightest bit attractive. May I have one kiss, please?
Yeah, she says that. She says it wasn't all fake. I really did love you.
Your mullet still turns on my loins. May I please have one kiss? And is this a Russian accent I'm trying to do? What am I getting here? I don't
know. I'm going to hear a little bit more. Hit me with it again.
Please duct tape me to the wall and have your way with me, MacGyver, and then we shall kill you. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Sounds a little Israeli.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know I could do an Israeli accent. High five.
You can't. So Mac uses the opportunity of the final kiss to take one last parting gift, and it's a hairpin from Lisa's hair.
Which she knows she's giving him to escape with?
She knows she's giving it to him, but she knows she's giving it to escape with?
You don't think she's aiding and abetting Mac here?
Well, do you believe that she is honest this time? Oof. This time I'm being honest with you?
We got to do some soul searching about it. We got to look into the heart of a woman. Now, I don't live with a woman. You do. Have you ever looked inside of her heart?
Gods, no. No, that's, when they say when you stare into the abyss stares back? It's like that.
Have you ever really, really loved a woman?
Have you ever really, really? No.
Well, so it's tough to say. Well, when someone says, no, this time I'm being honest, but I couldn't tell if he just found the clip, I think, or she's like, or did she guide his hand to grab the the hair clip, so she knows that she's giving him one last chance to escape.
Without technically giving it to him. So she has a bit of an out here. She didn't give him anything, he took it.
Gotcha.
So she's covering her very attractive derriere with that one. But we come to our third and final MacGyverism. What do you think he's doing with this hair clip?
Oh, I think I know what he's going to do, but would it work?
Does it MacGyver?
This is a long-beloved classic of TV and film. You know it. You love it. He's picking the handcuffs with the hair clip. So, according to the website, itstactical.com, under the subheading Imminent Threat Solutions, this totally works. It is 100% a thing. All these handcuffs do is they have a spring-loaded bar with a tooth on it that locks into the little ratchet that holds the cuff shut. So you get a little bobby pin in there and you push that thing down and you're free. There are more complicated versions of handcuffs, and I'm sure this probably doesn't work on modern handcuffs by now. And often the cops will just arrest you with a zip tie, and good luck getting out of that.
Right.
But even the double locking version, it's possible to do with. It's just a little more difficult. But let's say the Russians have some cheap, old Soviet handcuffs. This definitely MacGyver's.
And, you know, with Mac's girlish bouffant that he wears for most of the 7 seasons, he had plenty of room to keep a couple of hair clips in that mullet.
He could keep them in the same place he keeps the duct tape, his butt. Meanwhile, back upstairs, as Jack and Mac are trying to quietly make their escape, Russian General Rakubian takes one look at that Ming dragon and says, "This thing is a fake. It is a fake." And he throws it on the ground and it shatters. Now, I did a little research to see if the Ming dragon is a real thing. It's not. But I'm assuming it's made of jade or some kind of stone or something like that. And so the ceramic version, he's not impressed. But this is enough for Jack and Mac to make their escape. Jack knocks one of the guards out, and that gives Mac time to steal the very last bomb necklace as a little bit of insurance. But they're caught by the blonde spy Tanya once again.
Oof.
She pulls a gun on them, but they manage to work together. Mac wrangles Tanya and pushes her into a shed and gives her the bomb necklace. Well, she takes it, but she has the bomb necklace, and she's now trapped in the shed. Jack and Mac are fleeing towards a helicopter. Jack manages to fire the helicopter up so they can make their dramatic escape when who comes running out of the house but Lisa, closely trailed by the remainder of the Russians. She's hauling ass. Mac is climbing onto a helicopter that's flying up into the air. Lisa, Mac says we got to go back. Lisa jumps up on there. Nikolai is on the ground. He stands up and he shoots Lisa in the back as the helicopter begins to fly away. And the general says, "Don't worry about it. He's got the bomb necklace." And so he hits the bomb necklace and it explodes Tanya.
Boom.
And that
blonde goes boom.
Blonde goes boom. Blonde bombshell indeed. So Mac pulls Lisa into the helicopter and he cradles her, and she looks at him one last time and says, "I really did love you." And then she dies.
Oh my gosh.
For real this time.
That was in the, I'm going to say the top 10 so far through 2 seasons and 2 episodes. Top 10 most like movie-like, suspenseful, we've got action, what's going to happen. That was a really good scene. That's like, okay, that's your season premiere or finale. That was semi-spectacular.
Well, and I absolutely agree. And I think it's made better by like the compounding sets of tension where there's the bomb necklace, there is where's the real Ming dragon, there are firearms, there's this lying comrade Lisa, there's the dramatic escape there. We don't know if Jack can fly a helicopter because Jack lies about everything, claims he can fly a helicopter, but it's tremendous. But they do manage to make their final escape, which leads us to the end of Axminster 4. We return to the store where Mac had previously escaped when he fled into the Chinese festival. This is Axminster 5.
Right.
And
we'll
inside,
wrap up. Lisa's dead, right?
Yep.
Lisa's dead. She got shot in the back. She's out.
And
but you still come back with the happy, we're going to wrap it up music.
I
right?
know, right? And like, they move on like nothing happened.
Yeah, no, it's time to go back to, the antique store and crack some wise jokes, even though that woman I love just got shot in the back yesterday.
Mac wanted to marry this woman.
Yep.
Thought she was dead. She comes back, betrays him twice in a day, and he then clutches her dying body and then moves on like he, had to flush the toilet.
Yeah, and if the camera had stayed on him another 30 seconds, we probably see MacGyver cry right there, right? You got to shed a tear. But the next thing we do see is them going to an antique shop and making wisecracks with a lighthearted keyboard and Pete. Like, yeah, sure, okay.
So whether he planned it or not, what Mac did was there was a whole display of Ming Dragon replicas. So while Mac fled into that store way earlier in the episode when he escaped the blonde spy at the Chinese festival, is he switched the dragons. And so he is there looking through all these other Ming dragons, and they're like, you better find it. And Mac's like, they would have had to buy a ton of them. And they do find the actual Ming dragon, and they give it to Chu, who happily leaves, problem solved, except for one thing. The shopkeeper wants his $750 for the Ming dragon.
Well, they would have had to buy quite a few to get to the real one.
Yeah, but what if they did? You almost got killed for this thing. Worse, I almost got killed.
Will you relax? It's right here.
Oh, MacGyver, you're kidding. Are you kidding? Huh?
He does have the dragon.
He certainly does.
Here you go, Commissioner. One priceless treasure, as promised.
Thank you. I'm glad to have it back. I owe you an apology.
Not at all. MacGyver, you're a genius. That's a matter of opinion.
Hey, that's $750.
Oh, yeah, sure, I can handle that.
I'd say that's a real bargain.
Those are 20s.
Keep the change.
Keep the change, antique shop owner. My lost love is dead.
Mac, in a, I guess what is a kind move, grabs 3 20s from Pete to pay for this object. That's $60. $60 in 1987 is how much today?
110.
150.
Oof.
I'm not giving the $7.50, inflation adjusted, it's $20.
Wow.
You're giving a guy $150 on a $20 item, and your friend is like, ha ha ha, it sucks to be you. Give me all your money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the end of the episode. Happy ending for everyone except anyone who's Russian. And I guess Mac, because his girlfriend is dead.
Well, he seems to be fine. He's fine with it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. Well, we've recapped and ridiculed this one, but now it's time to rate Lost Love Part 2.
Name's MacGyver.
We're doing it on a scale of 0 to 10 mullets. Jeff, you gave Part 1 a 6 last week. I gave Part 1 a 5. And for this one on IMDb, the fans have given Part 2 a 7.4. But why don't you go first, and how did this one wrap up for you?
Loved it. This is everything I was hoping the premiere would be. I wish this would have been 1 episode instead of 2. There's a lot of padding that goes on, but this has all the forward momentum that the first one lacked. It's got chills, it's got thrills, it's got betrayals, it's got double crosses, it's got hidden Ming dragons, it's got Arnold Palmer's birthday. It's an 8 mullet affair.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so you give it an 8, and I've been going back and forth on the rating, but I certainly liked it a lot. And the final 5 minutes, among the best yet we've seen on this show. And maybe the funniest 30 seconds yet when Pete and Mac are stealing the dragon. A couple of nice twists there at the end. Double crossing, triple crossing, guard crossing, crossover moves by Tim Hardaway. Animal Crossing. Helicopter action. Gosh, you think I should give it an 8 or a 7?
I mean, I went with an 8, so clearly I think you should give it an 8.
But even if I give it an 8, it rounds up to a... Or even if I give it a 7, it rounds up to an 8.
Yes. If you give it an 8, it also rounds to an 8.
All right, you know what? I'll give it an 8.
Yeah.
I got an 8 for Part 2.
I don't know what else you want out of an episode of MacGyver, other than more MacGyverisms.
Okay, you're right. You sold me on that. Yeah. So I went 5 and then an 8. Now, do we, if you were going to watch this all as one, would you... If this was a movie, you'd be like, well, that first half was a little drab, but then it really picked up right in the second half, and it would be an above average movie, but not a great movie.
Right, and it would benefit it would be your classic 90-minute action film.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like, that's what a lot of these TV shows do now. You watch an episode of Stranger Things, and they could be 40 minutes or 2.5 hours long. But I think this would have benefited by being just a single episode.
All right, so you take my 8, and you add it to Jeff's 8, and you divide it by 2, and you get...
7.
This one's rated 8 out of 10 mullets.
We've messed up with this math before, so we don't need to even pretend like we're so good with math that we can be joking around with it. Let us crunch the numbers right now. This is where we count up the MacGyverisms from the episode, see how many were successful, and we count up all the time someone said MacGyver, because it's usually a lot. But let's start. Let's start with the MacGyverisms. Jeff, how did Mac do here?
So, can you beat a spring-loaded alarm with duct tape? Yes. Can you dangle from electrical conduit piping? Yes. Can you pick a handcuff with a bobby pin? Yes. Mac is batting 1,000, 3 for 3.
Woo! 3 for 3. All right.
Look out, Aaron Judge.
So that makes him 4-5 on the season. That's pretty good. That's better than he was last year. So this has all the makings of a great episode. But there's still one more thing missing. How many times did someone say MacGyver? Seems to, whether we love the bad cheese or whatever, it seems to be when people say MacGyver a lot, it tends to be an episode we rate really high. So it was said 21 times in part 1. How many times was it said in part 2?
So I'm beginning to see why Mike was so more accurate about this than I was, because I'm now watching the episodes twice to do the recaps. And there's a lot. I'm going to go higher than 21, lower than 30. We're going 24 MacGyvers.
Oh, Jeff, not even close. 33 times MacGyver was said in this episode. 33 times.
That is so many. That's so many.
A quick glance shows that would probably be third all time.
I was about to say top 5.
We got 46 for DOA MacGyver last year, 36 in Deathlock. Trumbo's World had 25. You know what? This is number 3. This is number 3.
This was contesting Deathlock?
Everybody's saying it. You even hear Pete say it at the end. And MacGyver, like, it makes no sense to keep saying the man's name. But again,
yeah. And this is among characters that are already established that know him. So, like, you would think there wouldn't be the need. But maybe the writers are onto something. You have this theory that there was, like, a goal set. But someone should do the math as to whether or not the number of MacGyvers mentioned correlates to the rating of the episode.
But through 2 seasons, the average is around 15, 16. But now through these 2 episodes, that's 54. So the average is 27 through these first 2 episodes. So we'll see. I don't think that'll keep up, but it'll be fun.
Can't keep that up.
No. How about the most make-fun-able moment? Now, in the first part, we had the worst mannequin in the world falling down in the pigeon purse action.
She had a bird in her purse.
How long is that? Did she come over from Russia with that thing in there? Or did she just buy one fresh that day?
Purse is just like full of shit.
Excuse me, I have feces on my lipstick. Is that Israeli again?
I guess so.
Okay. What was the lamest moment here? I'm not even sure.
Well, it's not lame. It's most make funnable, which can be good bad or bad or somewhere in between. And the most make funnable thing to me is Jack and Mac trying to communicate through the glass with the birthday.
Yeah. Like Jack all of a sudden has the brain power of a 3-year-old.
All of a sudden?
Well, no, that was even too dumb for Jack right there, that he couldn't figure out the numbers Mac was showing him, right?
That's pretty low on the bar.
That was pretty bad. But no, I mean, so there you go. Like, not really anything to make fun of, which doesn't really correlate normally for an episode we love. Sometimes we love those episodes where there is really something to make fun of. But if you want to say, hey, this is high-quality television with nothing really cheesy about it, you know what? You can kind of say that, other than that little silly back and forth between those two for the comedic effect.
Yep.
Well, that was a good episode. I mean, a lot of fun. But I don't know. Do you think, how are you feeling now about, Mike not being here and just 2 people? What are your thoughts on that?
I still think 3 is the right number. There's just like something about the chemistry that, there's the MacGyver thing, the storytelling thing. They need to be separate. Well,
okay. I was thinking maybe, I could write a letter to someone. We've got a list of candidates. Do you have anyone in mind that we might want to ask?
The actress who played Yana. So I'm always of the opinion that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and we should just ask RDA.
You want to ask Richard Dean Anderson, the actor who played MacGyver, to be the third co-host.
The famously reclusive actor who hasn't been seen in public in a decade.
Okay, let me get out my 1987 typewriter, and let's write up a letter. Will you mind helping me with this letter?
Oh, I'm down for it.
Okay. Let's see. So here we go. Dear Mr. Anderson.
That might be a little too formal.
Okay. Hey, RDA, what's up?
Getting better.
Okay. Sam here.
And Jeff.
All right, and Jeff. Sam here and Jeff from the Making Fun of MacGyver podcast. Please don't take offense at our show's title. We totally think you are a great actor.
Great actor? Come on, let's give it a little juice.
Okay. Excellent actor?
You can do better.
Indisputable thespian god?
Oh, yes. There you go.
Okay.
That's the spot.
We totally think you are an indisputable thespian god. How do you G-O-D? Yeah. We just like to poke fun at the sillier moments of your show. The reason for our letter is this. Our longtime third co-host, Mike Garland, has left the show.
Do we need the whole name there? Are we thinking he knows Mike?
Okay. Our longtime third co-host, Mike, has left the show.
You know what? He quit on us. Let's not even say his name at all. We'll just tell it like it is.
All right, you're right. Our former co-host, he who shall not be mentioned, has abandoned us in our desperate time of need.
There you go.
He's left us high and dry.
Turned traitor.
There you go. And we are now looking for a replacement. We figured you were more than qualified for the job.
You know, and he doesn't seem to be doing much these days either,
Okay,
but
yeah.
we don't want to sound too desperate. You want him to come to us.
We want him to come to us? Okay.
Yeah.
We figured you deserved at least an opportunity to audition for this coveted role.
Good start. Now, tell him what we need.
All right. For starters, you will need to watch each episode of MacGyver twice and take notes as you go.
This is true.
We record every 2 weeks, and each session takes about 2 hours, so please accommodate with your schedule.
And as we said before, you don't seem to be doing much, so this should be pretty easy. This is also true.
All right. You will need a good microphone.
And headphones.
And headphones.
And a good webcam.
And a good webcam.
And a good audio editing program and know how to use it.
Okay, you will need a good audio editing program and need to know how to use it. Okay, I got that. We also do monthly video hangout sessions with our Patreon patrons, and you will need to attend those.
Tell them about the group chat that we have and the fun text messages we send to each other.
There are also a lot of group chats. We will expect you to be part of those.
And tell them about the money.
Well, unfortunately, RDA, we do not earn enough money to pay you.
No, I meant the money that he's going to pay us.
Oh, so, okay. In fact, we'd appreciate it if you kicked in a few $100 for our show hosting, social media ads, and promotional prizes.
All right, now, baby, bring it on home.
All right, looking forward to hearing from you.
No. Make them want it.
Make them want it? Okay, please contact us ASAP.
More urgency. More. Do it. Bring it home.
All right, the clock is ticking, RDA. Don't let this opportunity die like you let Lisa die in your arms on that helicopter.
Boom! Got him, baby!
Sincerely, Sam and Jeff.
And definitely not Mike. Yeah, you don't want to put Mike's name on there, did you?
No, I didn't. Just Sam and Jeff. Okay. All right, I'll just put a couple stamps on that, send it to the United States Postal Service, and we'll see what he says. What do you think?
I think it's a lock. I don't see any way he says no.
All right, you heard it from the horse's mouth, folks. Jeff says Richard Dean Anderson will soon be our third co-host, so I imagine just a few weeks or so. But yeah, that concludes this one. A real fun episode here. Lost Love Part 2. I loved it. We both loved it. Any final thoughts, Jeff?
We'll never lose our love for the show.
Nice. Well, thank you for your fine effort today. And thank you for listening out there, folks. We do sincerely hope we've entertained you a bit today. And now, without our Patreon patrons, we'd likely have given up by now. So let's sound out a big thank you to Mia in Canberra, Australia, who reminds us about the importance of being an organ donor and checking in on friends and family to make sure they're doing okay.
Bo in Fort Myers, Florida, who reminds us that making people laugh and smile goes a long way.
Thank you to Claire in New Jersey, who wonders, how can MacGyver defuse bombs with paper clips, but he can't keep a girlfriend alive longer than 2 episodes? Go to deadfictionalgirlfriendsreport.com for the answer to that and more. And I think, you think Claire has any feelings about This Lost Love episode? I think she might have a couple of thoughts.
We might have to have a whole spin-off podcast. Caesar from Parts Unknown, who grew up watching Mac in Spanish with his grandmother. Ay, Dios mío! Now that's family bonding.
Thank you to Christian in Norway, who has taught us about the layout of his fair country, Stabæk football, Osbeer, and of course, one of the all-time great bands, Aha.
Matt McCarthy, who says, hey, mental health, it's a real thing to be aware of, yours and others. Treat yourself with kindness and reach out if you think you might need help.
Hey, thanks to Vivian in Taiwan, who suffered through some bullying in school and actually leaned on old MacGyver episodes for support and that underdog inspiration. Vivian, we love having you out there. Thank you.
And Gary in Kelowna, British Columbia, our very first confirmed fan and member of the Making Fun of MacGyver Hall of Fame.
Hey, we're always looking for new friends, so please reach out to us on social media, say hi, but above all else, keep coming back because we are going to keep making fun of MacGyver. So for Jeff, I'm Sam. Thanks again for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Gee, that's neat.